Good morning, Nick.
Hi, good morning, Catherine.
Today, I ask you a few questions about Catsurveys and their management of the pandemic. Nick, what would you say has been our most critical areas of concern with regards to health and safety during this pandemic?
Obviously, it's the safety of our employees for our site operations teams. Whilst we can put all the control measures in place for us as a business and our employees, obviously we were undertaking works in the public highways, in town centres and residence areas for our telecommunications works. So the critical parts areas we can't legislate for members of the public. Although we had key worker status and letters from our clients allowing us to do the work because it was essential works, at the very early stages we sourced and had bespoke made signs for Catsurveys that were able to be put on site advising members of the public of a key worker status, and more importantly advising them of the social distance requirements needed for our employees. We had some high-vis clothing jackets made up with a big stop sign on the back, stay safe, social distancing required, just so people had that visual straight away that the person they can see in front of them from Catsurveys is there for a valid reason. From an office perspective, whereby we put everyone to remote working, and that works really well, but it's understanding that obviously their environment was actually conducive to do the works that's required. It's certainly taken into account their home environment, family, dependents that were within the household, and were they able to be effective, not only for the business, but ensuring that sort of like the mental well-being for themselves. So different critical areas for both site operations and office workers needed to be considered and continually need to be considered. And that's why we have this constant communication and dialogue with all the team, just to ensure that we are maintaining effective safety measures and control measures in place.
As for PQQs, Nick, have you had a lot of risk assessments for COVID-19 that you've had to complete? Because I know for some of our accreditation portals, they're actually asking for a COVID-19 specific risk assessment now to be completed every 3 months or 6 months.
Working with our clients, certainly in the early stages of lockdown, the risk assessments were very dynamic and there was constant changes throughout. And I think because obviously at the time, a lot of the clients and ourselves were unsure as to what were the requirements and what was the best control measures to put in place. So there was always constant dialogue between ourselves and our clients and our teams of how we best manage the risks. This was settled down a little bit when the Construction Leadership Council, who are a group of tier 1 contractors and civil engineering specialists, that put safe operating procedures in place, which then enabled everyone to follow the best guidance, which certainly helped.
And what are you and the board, SMT, doing to keep us up to date as employees?
Well, that was one of the first things the board and the SMT actually put down when lockdown was announced. We felt it extremely important that we maintain that communication with the rest of the team. From the outset, we met on a daily basis to review the current standing, best guidelines provided by the relevant organisations that we actually used. And it was important that we made it clear that any instructions from ourselves would come from Public Health England and the government, the World Health Organisation, and subsequently Construction Leadership Council. So we maintained as minimal sources of truth which everyone could refer to avoid confusion. That's where we then decided that it was important that we had a weekly meeting available to all personnel of Catsurveys. So we have on a Friday midday, as you well know, you've attended many of these remotely, whereby we gave a business continuity update every Friday, and the platform was open for any questions to be raised. There was nothing not allowed on the table to be challenged. It was there as an open and honest discussion amongst the whole team, which I believe was absolute necessity. From our perspective as a business, having that communication was absolutely key so we could relay any concerns.
Just as a side note as well, Nick, through our external accreditations and audits through BSI and Achilles, the leadership that they saw throughout the pandemic, and I was able to give kind of reference to that to them. They was really pleased and they only had positives.
It's pleasing to see that those external parties have also recognised the communication that we've had between ourselves as the board, SMT, and the rest of our team. So really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you for the questions and answers today, Nick. I really appreciate that, and also appreciate everything you and the SMT and board are doing for the company and to keep the employees here at Catsurveys safe.
Thank you very much for the opportunity and appreciate the questions, Catherine. Thank you very much.
Thank you.